Like we used to, at the typical New Year's would end with like me and a friend like on a subway with it like getting light out, and like my friend has a black eye, and we're just like looking miserable and disheveled, and like we're like, well, that was a disaster. You know, like it became a joke with us. Like every New Year's would end with like, oh, that was bad.
But it sets you up for an improved year. Like it's going to get better, right?
Yeah.
It was so
I once on January 1st, coming off a night like that, I got a speeding ticket at like in the morning, and I was like, all right, this year's off to a bang. You know, like
could only go up from there.
$180 or something. I was like, all right, I didn't even make it to noon. But this one New Year's, I was in Manhattan, and we were making, I'm sure we were being loud. We were young, you know, I was being loud. And someone threw a flower pot at me out the window.
Wait a
like,
minute. What do you live in a comic strip?
Yeah, no, it's like not just that, like a 1920s comic strip, right? Like, who does that? You know what I mean? Isn't that like, it's like, there's decent people trying to sleep up here. Or like someone yelled that and like threw a flower pot. And
they were upset that guys were making noise on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably really late.
Like, what do you mean? What time?
3.
And this is Manhattan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
but it came smashing down,
that's
and I was
crazy.
Like, that could have killed me.
That could have killed you. Manhattan's noisy every night at 3 a.m.
You'd think.
Every night. Trucks going by, everything, right?
Sirens.
Yeah.
How loud could we have been?
How loud could you have been?
So they threw the flower pot, and then later, I think it was that same night, I found myself with the friends online waiting to get into a bar, and it was like, I think it was like 10 after 4 in the morning. And I had that moment of clarity, like, what are we doing? Like,
how degenerate can we be?
What are we doing? Like, why? First of all, how is there a line? You know what I mean? Like, there's a line here. Only in Manhattan, I guess, or like certain. And I was like, I'm like, we're waiting, and it looked long, and I was like, what time is it going to be when we get in? What are we doing here? And then there's people, I guess, that do that kind of like rave till 7 in the morning or whatever, but they usually have a different pace going than you know what I mean? Like they don't start hard at 7 the night before,
right,
and then stay. You know what I mean?
There's probably some sort of stimulant involved, right?
Yeah. So I was sort of like, this is, you know, I came back from that and I was like, all right, this is not going to be my New Year's anymore. And then like,
how old were you then? Do you think?
Yeah,
35 or something?
No, I was much younger. 20, early 20s.
Early 20s.
I was saying then I had my epiphany, and then just 5 or 6 years later,
you finally
changed.
Put your foot down.
My epiphany doesn't go that fast. Like I have my epiphany, then I need some lag time. But then
epiphany with the slow burn.
Yeah, exactly. But so now for years now, decades, when New Year's, I like just being up in the mountains, and you see Times Square, and these people got arrested, and this person got killed, and I'm like, I'm just away from all of it.
And when you do this, do you sort of look back on the year and say, how did this year go? And do you do a little planning for the next year?
I actually do like to do that for
New
Year's. Yeah,
I do.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think, because otherwise New Year's is kind of useless. I like to use it as like a stopping point and being like, all the things you hear that I would never actually do, like have some gratitude for different things. And, you know, yeah, I never do. I have no gratitude for it. But, just end and be like, all right, I'm like whole. Everything's like fine.
Life is good. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you have bad.
So let me ask you. Yeah. Sometimes I have a suspicion you had a good year this year.
Yeah, it was all right.
It was all right. 1 to 10. Where would you put it?
7.
7. I knew you were going to say that. I got a feeling
7's good.
I think 7 is great.
Yeah.
What's wrong with 7?
Have we talked about this already? I know I've talked with a lot of people, and they're like,
that?
how you doing? And if you're ever like, I'd say 6 out of 10, th're like, what's wrong? I'm like, I just said 6. 5 is average. Like everyone thinks you're
5's average.
You're supposed to say, well, think of when people say, how you doing? What are you supposed to say? Like, awesome. Right. Like, a great. That's how everyone answers.
Right.
I'm like,
that's kind of a self-help thing, right?
Yeah.
Like a Tony Robbins thing.
And then if
how you doing? Excellent.
Yeah.
Great.
Pretty good. And then
I piss excellence.
Yeah, you say, exactly. You go, how you doing? Pretty good. What's wrong? I'm like, what do you mean what's wrong? I said, pretty good. So anyway, this year was pretty good.
I think 7 is great, right?
Yeah. Got health and got.
I have a feeling most of your years are 7s.
Yeah, I'm running pretty steady 7s.
You're 70% 7, I bet.
Yeah,
right?
running pretty clear 7s. Yeah.
Do you remember your last above 7? Did you 8 or did you ever have a 10 or what do you think?
I don't think I have.
I don't think you have.
What would be a 10? I'd have to hit a lottery or something.
Right.
I've hit some pretty good years. They've all been good. I don't think I've had any 4s.
No.
Right?
No, you don't look like you've had any 4s. No.
I'm good.
7 is great, right?
Hovering around 7. So that's how I use the end of the year. I guess when people hear this, it'll be past New Year's, but not too much, right?
Today's the 21st, right? It's coming right up. Yeah.
So I don't do too much though, like resolutions.
No. Do you do a vision board? I can see you cutting out stuff from the magazine.
Like a Ouija board?
No, a vision board. You get a big poster board.
I might do a Ouija board this year.
And you paste up pictures of stuff like
goals.
Hawaii, where you're going to live.
Or like a fit person.
A fit person.
I'll be like that
I'll
fit
be like,
person.
Yeah. Do you do that?
No.
Or I'm going to fit into that bathing suit come summer.
I'm going to fit into my,
You look like a vision board kind of guy. No, though, huh?
No. I just want to fit into my old jeans.
No. I get a feeling you've been wearing the same size jeans for a long time.
Jeans.
The same actual jeans. Yes.
No, for as long as I can remember, I guess.
I bet, yeah.
Yeah.
So 7 is great, right?
Yeah, just keep motoring along.
There's a famous thing that's been on the internet for a while from a famous author and psychologist, I think, this Daniel Kahneman. He did some study, and he said once you're making $75,000 a year, you've maximized the happiness you're going to get from money. But I saw another study which says that's complete bullshit.
Can't you just tell it's bullshit?
Of course you can, right?
You feel like, all right, Kahneman, anything over 75, send to me.
Send it this way, baby.
You're a pretty famous guy. You got to be making a lot more than that. Like,
I'm sure he is. Yeah.
Send it this way, because what good's it doing you?
Exactly. And then I saw some other study that says up to about $500,000. You're still getting a little bit happier up until about $500,000.
First, I believe that, but it's also the creativity of the person getting it. So I believe there's lottery winners that just go down the tubes and have no happiness because they have no mental ability to use the money.
Right.
But I could be happy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so above $500,000, I would still start being like, well, now I can do this and now I can do that,
But above $75,000, now I got a housekeeper, so I never have to clean my toilet. I don't have to do anything like this. I got a nice car. I can go on a nice vacation. I can go to nice restaurants. I mean, you
and
need more
that,
than $75,000.
Up it, and then you're like, for a lot more than $75,000, a lot more is still how much you need. I mean, a new roof can cost you $40,000. Like, if your roof is getting old on your house, like
right.
So
$40,000.
Well,
nice roof. Yeah.
25.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
Or my corrupt roofer, could be more like. Yeah, don't get me started on my roof. I had my roof done. I don't even. He was terrible. Like, I don't know
what happened.
He was like completely corrupt. I did a mistake. Look, here's my advice, and the only advice I think I've ever given.
Wait a minute. You mean somebody doing construction work was not on the level?
Yeah. Can you believe it? But there were guys that you could tell were sort of top of the line professionals, and they cost more. And I was like, well, this other guy, he'll do the roof. And I tried to save money. That's the one piece of advice I've ever given you.
Classic
just
mistake.
Pay more, because this guy he held me up. Like he took my roof off, and then was like, remember how we have a contract for this amount? It's going to be more. And I'm like, well, we have a contract. And he's like, like shrugged.
Yeah.
Like, you know how it is. Like, you can't, you're not naive, right? Like, the contract means nothing. It's like, well, all right, you could sue me and probably win in a couple of years.
You could spend about $20,000 suing me.
Yeah. And in a couple of years. And so he held me up when the roof was half off, and he did all kinds. He was like, I need more money. And then he was like, you know how you're supposed to pay half up front and then half at the end? I'm going to need more now. And I was like, well, no, it said half now and half at the end. And he's like, well, I can't pay my guys if you don't give me the money now. And I said, you've been in business 30 years and you're right at the edge. If my check doesn't come in, you can't pay your guys. You just shrug like, you want us to show up Monday or not?
Wow.
So he gave
That's
me the business.
tough.
He gave me the business.
Yeah. And there's nothing you can really do
Yeah,
about
what
it.
am I going to do? That's everyone gets mad and goes, "You should." I'm like, what am I going to do?
You want a roof, for God's sake, right?
Yeah. He did another funny thing where he redid all the gutters.
Uh-huh.
And then I said, I was like, well, the way the water comes down here, we should have it come out this way. And
you wanted like from the downspout, you wanted another piece to lead away from the house.
Well, not even.
Yeah.
It's not even.
No.
Just here's what happened. I was talking about that, and he said, "Oh, hold on.
Whoa.
We didn't say replace the downspouts." And I was like, dude, it's been perfectly clear that we're replacing everything. And he said, you said the gutters. You didn't say the downspouts. That's an extra. That's double the cost. And I was like, oh my God.
You want to hit him with one of the downspouts,
furious.
just smash it
and
over
I said,
his skull.
But we'd have how he could just stare me in the face. I'd be like, so you thought I wanted all new gutters
and no downspouts
and leave the
the
old
old
downspouts that don't fit the new gutters and are like rusting and peeling. You thought just sort of.
Well, that's
and he'd shrug whenever like I'd catch him in a lie. He just like I'd say that the contract, and he just every time he just go, well,
the power shrug.
Well, hey, what are you gonna do? I just got this. It reached a point where
that's where you regret that you're a civilized person, right?
You can't just threaten.
I just wish I was a maniac and I just hit you over the head with a hammer.
Yeah, I'm gonna kill you. Yeah. But I ran into him in a Home Depot after the job, and it was like super awkward. Like that's how the job got. Like even just running into him, it was like looking, and
but it was all done.
Right? Yeah, he finished it.
So what you felt awkward?
Yeah, and him.
He should feel awkward, of course, because he's basically a criminal.
Why are we talking about my roofer?
I don't know. I love your stories.
But I was just going to talk. But back to the New Year's thing.
New Year's. All right.
So even
you just finished with the 7 this year.
Yeah. What I found though is that even trying to get away for actual New Year's Eve, you can't get away from humanity. You know what I mean? I go to a cabin in the mountains, and someone will
go to the cabin in the mountains. You get to hear this.
Yeah.
Jesus.
What now? Yeah. What happens?
So they're like, could you turn your TV down? It's too loud, or
someone. Yeah, or the opposite, right? Like fireworks start going off when I had babies, and waking them up, and I'm like, who is setting off? There isn't a house within a mile, and someone's in a field setting off fireworks. I always said you'd get a billionaire and get your own private island, and day 2, someone would pull a yacht up and be like, this is my party spot, like 50 yards off your beach, blasting music. You just like, you can't get away. You can't. So I try to get as much peace and quiet as I can on New Year's. I try to take stock in the past year and be grateful for things. I don't do too much planning for the next year, but that's my New Year's. That's how I spend it.
That's very nice.
How about yourself?
I don't know what the hell I do, but
you don't have any consistent thing?
I do not, but I like what you're doing there. So I will take stock of this year. And
you had a big year.
I had a big year. It had its highs and lows.
You had some pretty good highs and lows.
Yeah. It was probably a 7 at the end of the day.
You probably had some 2s.
I had some dipped into the negative a little bit, but then I had some 10s too. So I probably ended up at a 7.
Yeah,
not bad at all.
Yeah.
And I'm wearing the same jeans. I think my waist is smaller now than January 1st. Definitely. So that's good. I'm fit as a fiddle.
Yeah. So I can do
I could do the pistols, the single leg squats. I could do those, Dan. Very impressive.
Could you on January 1st?
Yeah. But I can still do them. I can still do them.
Actually, yeah. We're at an age now, especially where it's I didn't go downhill. I'll take it.
I could do a bunch of push-ups. I could do jiu-jitsu. I'm feeling pretty good. Yeah.
No surgeries.
No, but I'm not a big surgery guy. Yeah. The last time I had surgery, they're like, if you don't do this, you're gonna lose your kidney. So I was like, okay. Are
there big surgery guys though?
I don't know. I think there are.
I just love surgery.
I know guys like I had three on my shoulder here, and I had 4 on my knees, and blah blah blah. Yeah.
But don't you think they needed it? I always assumed. I didn't think about it. I assumed they needed it. I don't think there's people that are like, I just want the surgery. The doctor's like, you don't.
I've had some major things, injuries on my shoulder and knees, and I just said, the hell with it. And they feel great right now. My knees feel. A couple of years ago, I was training with Leo Akiki, who we had in here as a guest, and he kind of had my foot locked up, and I took a big back step, and I heard this horrific. Sounded like my gi pants ripped, but it wasn't my gi pants. It was my knee. And then my knee got swollen and it was sore. I couldn't do things. But you know what? It feels 100% today. No surgery. Feels great.
It's weird that way, right? Just a week or so ago, I got caught in a knee bar.
Yeah.
And it was light. It wasn't even, it was Marcel. He was going really light. Yeah. And just for some reason, something pop. I felt a pop and a pain. And you know how it is with these injuries. You're sort of like, oh, no. But you don't know how bad it's going to be.
You don't. Yeah.
And then it just went away. You know, it just,
so
you know,
because
you have to wait and say, is this just going to get worse and worse and worse?
Right.
Or is it going to go away? And it just went away.
Yeah, I had about a month ago, I think it was. I was training with one of the guys, and he was leaning into me, and I felt something pop right underneath my ribs and go. That's the thing. When you feel something mechanically break, you don't even need any pain. You're just like, that's even worse. I'd rather have just searing pain. Yeah. I'd rather have the worst pain possible. But when I hear a pop and something give away, then you're like, something just
that's
mechanically
take a while,
broke.
Right? Oh, yeah, that's going to take a while, yeah.
Right. Unless I had something completely superfluous there that had no use, now I'm missing that. Yeah, I tore one of my bicep tendons completely off, and it felt like felt a pop, and then it was like a window shade rolling up. And didn't feel particularly painful, but I was like,
that can't be good.
Shit, that's not good.
So you must have had surgery for that.
I did not, Dan. No. I consulted a surgeon, and you actually have two tendons at the top of your bicep. One of them broke clean off. And I went.
So you don't need them. Is that what it turns out?
Well, I went to see the surgeon, and he said, listen, John Elway had the same injury and then won 2 Super Bowls. So I figured, I've always wanted to win a Super Bowl. I'm not going to have surgery. The hell with it. And if you supposedly lose 25% of your strength and whatever, I took it as a challenge. I said, well, I'll just try to be more technical in my jiu-jitsu. And there's like a little sag there, but it actually kind of gives the bicep a rounder look. So
you look stronger.
I think I might look a little bit better on that bicep.
I wish I could snap a tendon.
But I heard they also sometimes do it when they go in for some kind of shoulder surgery. They'll cut that tendon for some reason. So, yeah, I think it's one of those. Yeah, it's obviously something you can live without because I don't have it. But,
yeah. So you ended the year with a big weekend, right? Like you.
Right. We just came back from the IBJJF No-Gi World Championships. So the International Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation.
So to give me some background, like how big a tournament is this? I know it says World Champions.
It's a World Championship.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
So it's like a legit, but you know, there can be World Champions.
Well, this is this is the organization that runs the sporting side of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. They're the official organization for sure. So it's pretty prestigious. Yeah, it's pretty big.
Yeah, because I know that some of the divisions you've got guys that are famous, right? Like big.
They got famous people, definitely. Yeah.
Well, jiu-jitsu famous.
Jiu-jitsu famous, exactly. Gordon Ryan was there. He got double gold. He was amazing. Who else? Cyborg Abreu was there. He got DQ'd battling against Gordon Ryan. And then, I saw Jacques Machado. I got a picture with him. That was pretty cool. I'm not a big get a picture with a guy type of thing. That's not the way I like to do things. It's kind of, but Jacques Machado, he's a legend, man. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And he was, of course, the nicest guy possible. And
were there lots of people stopping him for pictures, or
there were a couple? I saw somebody stop him for pictures. Actually, some little kid did, and then he took a bunch of pictures with all these little kids.
And then you.
Then I felt like a dummy, and but I was like, I got to get it. And he is so gracious. I said, "Thank you. You made my day." And he said, "You know what he said, Dan?" He said, "No, you made my day."
Did you roll your eyes?
No, I thought that was pretty gracious.
Yeah, sure.
I was like, that was pretty cool. He's
a
very
nice thing to say.
Guy. Yeah. You know what, Dan? I appreciate people who are gracious. You know why? It's so freaking rare.
It's rare.
Most people are just not gracious, right?
Louts.
They're louts. Yeah, we're a bunch of knuckle dragging louts walking around out there for sure.
Yeah.
So when somebody's gracious, I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's nice. Yeah.
And you made his day.
And I made his day.
He came back.
Yeah.
He's probably back somewhere now going like, I had this awesome experience.
That's right. So we went to the World Championships. It was in Anaheim, California. We flew out there, and it was a long weekend. We flew out on a Thursday. My son competed on Friday, and I competed on Sunday. We had 5 of us from the team went out there. Everybody did pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. So about Rory, your son.
Yep.
I saw it was, and also to give an idea of the size of the tournament.
Rory
I
has.
saw 71 or 70
I think
people
so.
in his like, so his
In
belt
his
level,
bracket, yeah.
weight, his belt level and weight
Yeah.
was 70 people.
Competing. Yeah.
And they're all good.
They're all good.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, these young blue belt guys are at a phenomenal level. There was some article I saw that said, are they really black belts? Some of them are that good.
Well, I was saying if you come out of the field of 70, whoever was on that podium has to be tapping black belts.
Oh, for
you know,
sure.
like if you come out of the whole field.
A lot of the guys not even on the podium are tapping people, man. Some of these young guys started training probably as kids at like 5-year-old, and now they're teenagers and they got their blue belt. So they've been training, some of them probably training
And
for
then
10
people
years.
sandbag and
Yeah, I think so. It's competitive. People
so you
wanna win.
were able to watch them, so you also can confirm the eyeball test. You were like, this guy's not rolling like a blue belt.
No, oh my God, they're freakishly good. Yeah, they're really good. Very
Well, to me, I
technical,
mean,
very
even the blue belts,
sophisticated.
even Rory doesn't roll like a blue belt
No.
to me. Like, you know, it's
Rory's twice as good as I was as a blue belt.
Yeah.
You know, way better.
well.
I think
So
even-
to that point, you
yeah.
remember, 20 years ago, blue belt.
Mhm.
It's changed, right? I mean, that's
I
what I
think
always
so.
hear. That it's
Yeah.
just, the sport's moved.
Like
on, so
it's a
the
new
skill
sport.
level just keeps getting higher.
I think so. Yeah, and there's more avenues to learn. There's all sorts of online videos for instruction and more athletes, more people sharing information.
And even the instructors have honed their instruction, right? Like,
I
they're
think so. And there's more opportunity to train. We're open 7 days a week, and we have early morning, noon, nighttime classes. So
right.
you
When
can
you
get a
started,
lot
there
of
was
training.
one school in Massachusetts.
Boston
now
Brazilian
you-
Jiu-Jitsu was in Watertown, right? And I think they had, when I started in 1999, I think they did like Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon, and then, at nighttime, and then Saturday open mat. So they had a lot, but, we have more now, for sure. So, yeah, people are better, definitely. I think so. But it was a great experience. Yeah, Rory won his first match. My son won his first match by Kimura, I think, and then he lost on points to a really crafty guy, super technical, but
Yeah.
he performed great. He's a great competitor. He's got ice in his veins.
So
He's
don't you
very
also
good.
find that coming out of these tournaments, what determines whether you feel good or bad, or people you're with, is whether they feel they perform well, whether they won or lost? Or
I'm
do you
sorry,
think
Dan,
it's,
can you rephrase that?
do you think it's the winning and losing that makes you happy coming home, or whether you perform well? Which one's more important to you? Like, I won, or
I think perform well for sure.
yeah.
And I think, this is guy, Dr. Doug Lyle, that I reference sometimes. He's an evolutionary psychologist. He has a podcast, Beat Your Genes podcast. And he talks about esteem dynamics. And he says for self-esteem, we have like this internal audience. If you can imagine in our mind someplace, there's a group of people that are watching us and they're judging our behavior and our performance. And some of it's based on how much effort we put in and what talent that audience expects from us. So basically, it's common sense. So you have this audience looking at you and it says, you know what? You should probably do this good, and you should probably try this hard. And if you try really hard and have certain performance, and then you probably feel good about it. And sometimes you're going to exceed that audience's expectations, and sometimes you're going to fall short of it. And that's probably how you're going to feel about your performance, right? And how it goes. So, and then I guess it's how you look at the whole process. I like to look at it as a larger experience. So, we trained for 8 weeks or so. So I think about all the training I put in, all that work, and then how I perform at the tournament, and then what the experience was like just being out there. And I look at the entire experience and try to judge the experience.
What if you could change the nature of your internal audience? Like, I think I have a hostile audience. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's sort of always yelling mean stuff. Like, and then other people can have like a really forgiving audience. They're like pretty
maybe
not behaving well, and their internal audience is still yelling how awesome they are.
I don't know.
You know?
I don't know if it's hostile. Well, here's the problem: if your inner audience is too lenient, then you're not going to be stimulated to achieve.
Also,
and to try as hard.
But also picture people. I picture a lot of horrible people have a lenient internal audience, right? Like the people that are swaggering around thinking they're awesome, even if they're treating people badly. And
I think so.
You know,
yeah.
So they have.
So I don't think it's so much about having a hostile or benign internal audience. I think the internal audience is about standards, like level of expectations. So, yeah, it's great if your inner audience is not expecting much from you, then you'll probably be happy, but you probably won't do shit either. You know, you'll be sitting around eating bonbons and you don't really work that hard. You know.
Yeah.
Like I worked very hard in preparation, so if I hadn't, my internal audience probably wouldn't be happy with that. So that worked out well for me. Yeah.
So your matches, why don't you talk about how you did?
So my matches, yeah. So I was in Master 5 black belt, over 50, bunch of geezers. And there was only 4 of us, but these guys are real good competitors, and they're seasoned. And I won my first match, a very tough match. Guy is a great guy. The guy, I have a lot of respect for him because he was gracious. That's not my only standard, but he was gracious before and afterwards.
Did you say thank you after the match? And he was like, no, thank you.
I forget what he said, but he's a real martial artist. Like, he's very respectful, and he tries super hard, and he's really good. And he actually told me that he's had 54 medals in tournaments, and he's only been tapped twice, which is impressive, you know. So these guys they compete a lot. This is my second tournament in 18 years. So
well, that's what I was saying. Yeah. That's the big difference, right? They're talking about 54 tournaments, and you're talking
that's
about
not
2.
even tournaments. That's medals. I don't know how many tournaments he's been in, but he's got 54 medals. So he's a very seasoned competitor.
You were like, I've got 1 from last tournament.
Like, yeah. Well, actually, I got 1 from 2000. Yeah, so I got like 2 medals.
Since in the last 10 years.
Yeah. No, in the last 18 years, I got 1 medal. Yeah. So, and then I lost in the finals to a guy who's very good, and that guy is some multiple Masters world champion. Somebody said I think somebody said he might be 9-time world. So the guy's good. You know what I mean? And I kind of injured my calf like right off the bat, but the guy was good, and I lost on points to him. I didn't have a great performance, but I think I did as well as I could at the time.
And he seemed really good.
He's very good, but I don't think it's unattainable. I could beat him if I trained properly and the circumstances are right. You know.
So what do you think he did well? Was it super solid fundamentals or something tricky, or
no,
like it wasn't tricky?
I would not say tricky, just really good at everything. Yeah, these guys are. That's the thing about the tournament. Everyone there is really good. And because you got to travel and everything, who's going to fly across the country if they're not good? If you know what I mean, if you're getting manhandled in your own academy, you're not going to go. And he's another guy who probably competes all the time. So everybody was very good, and I ended up walking away with the silver medal. So pretty happy with that. I think one of the things I wanted to do when I started this journey, I think I started the journey in June, is I wanted to see if I could compete at a world-class level with guys my age or whatever, in my division. And, yeah, obviously I can. I won the Pan Ams, and I came in second in the world. So, and I didn't get blown out, you know what I mean? So, I feel good about that.
So here's something I'm really curious about with you.
Yeah.
Which is, it was really hard. It was hard.
Yeah.
The preparation was really hard. You said, it's physically hard.
Yeah.
Mentally hard, all this stuff. At the same time, on this podcast, you've said, you gave the example, you got to Harvard, you had 10 years of this goal of getting to Harvard. As soon as you achieved the goal, you realized you were someone you should have gotten another goal right away. So you see where I'm headed with this.
Right.
Now it's like you have this piece where you don't have to train that hard all the time, but do you need to set another goal for yourself?
I'm already depressed.
Yeah. So
I crashed emotionally yesterday. It was totally down, depressed. Then it came in here. Dimitri's just telling us we were awful, and we suck, and he hates our podcast. He's producing this podcast under protest. It sickens him. It sickens him. He's like, I went to podcast producing school for this.
You're in sort of a negative mindset, I think.
I think so. Yeah, he's doing this under protest. It's just Did
he officially protest?
I think. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
See, it's official.
It's official. Yeah.
So so you're so you need a new goal.
I need.
Does it have to be another tournament?
I think I have to do something else, but I may compete again. But yeah, I have to come up with a goal fast. Because
so you don't think it'll be? You don't really want to get back on the tournament training schedule?
I can't train like that in the future. I have to find another way to train because it just takes too much physical energy. Like, I would train around noon or in the morning really hard, and then I would go have lunch and I'd be exhausted, so I'd have to take a nap for 30 to 60 minutes. And we come back at night and train hard again and just be tired. And it didn't leave me any energy to do anything else in my life, really. So I could compete in the future, but I have to modify my training. But, yeah, I have to come up with another goal, Dan, something that's going to excite me and focus me.
Right.
For sure. You're absolutely.
And are you going to be like more mopey until you get the goal? Is that
am I mopey?
No, you said you were.
I didn't say I was mopey, but I emotionally crashed. Yeah.
That's the difference.
I don't know. Is that a difference? I don't know. Yeah, but it's disappointing. Like I would have thought I would felt much like my son, who he said to me, it was very nice of him to say this after I won. He said, "Did you think a year ago you'd get a silver medal in the World Championships?" Which was a really sweet thing for him to say because it put everything in perspective. And the reality is, a year ago, I wasn't even thinking about competing at all.
Right.
So I would have been shocked if you told me that. And I would have been very happy if somebody said, a year from now, you're going to have a silver medal. I would have been thrilled, of course, right?
Yeah.
And I'm happy, but I'm not thrilled.
Yeah, you just need another goal.
I need another goal. Yeah.
So, can I talk about something else for a second, which is Tyler's performance in the
Tyler King.
I just thought this was really interesting and
Tyler
just
King
interesting things to take from it. You know what I mean?
He's amazing, man. It was so. First of all, I got to take a little. So Tyler King is one of our jiu-jitsu guys. He's also an MMA fighter, pro fighter. Fights at heavyweight. He's a big guy, 6'5.5". He's like 200 and whatever, 40 pounds.
Ex-NFL guy, lineman guy.
Yeah. And just a character, of course. So the day before I competed, I was actually 2 pounds heavy, which kind of gave me a little bit of anxiety. I'm like, holy cow, because you get one chance to weigh in. And I'm like, I can't have done all of this and then get on the scale and be.
Are you just out if you're
I think they just send you home. You're done. You get DQ'd. And I'm like, holy cow.
So you train twice a day for months.
Yeah, that would be awful, right? Yeah. So what I did is I went out and I jogged for an hour in the Anaheim heat, which was, it's beautiful weather, but it was sunny, so it was kind of hot. And then I said, I got to have I'm not going to eat anything all day. And then I saw Tyler and we watched some jiu-jitsu, and I said, well, I'll go get like a relatively small meal at dinner. I'll have like maybe a nice small piece of steak and a little bit of vegetables, and then that's it. And don't go crazy with the water so I can make weight. As it turns out, I overdid it. I ended up being 2 pounds under, and I think I might have been dehydrated, but whatever. So at any rate, so I'm worried about this. I grab him, and he goes, let's go to Ruth Chris Steakhouse. I said, okay, yeah, I'll get a nice steak and a little bit of vegetables, fine. And meanwhile, he's ultra heavyweight.
He doesn't have to. So he is.
Yeah. So you can weigh 1,000 pounds.
Right.
It's so funny. They don't even call it. They don't call it super heavyweight. They call it ultra.
Isn't there a super heavyweight that's not ultra heavyweight?
I think there is. Yeah, I think they have heavyweight, super heavyweight, and ultra weight or something. So he's ultra weight. Sounds like a superhero, right? So we go to Ruth Chris, sit at the bar, and they come out. and they give us a loaf of bread and some butter. So I can't eat any bread because that'll screw me up. So he proceeds and then he gets a glass of wine. I'm barely sipping on the water. So he gets a glass of wine, eats the loaf of bread with butter, says, I need another loaf of bread. I mean, literally a loaf of bread. They bring him another loaf of bread, and then he gets a dirty martini. With blue cheese or something? I never heard of it. So he's drinking wine, martini, second loaf of bread, gets shrimp, I think, as an appetizer. Then he gets a bowl of butternut squash soup or something. Then he gets his steak, and then he gets a side dish of like sweet potatoes or something. It's like in a casserole dish, family style. So he eats that, and then he says, "Oh yeah, can I get the cheesecake and ice cream?" I'm like sitting next to Andre the Giant, consuming everything in the building. So that was my dinner before, and then he competed in his division, ultra heavyweight, and he got silver medal. He lost to a really big guy. He had good takedowns. The guy was good, so he lost 10 points in the finals, and he was dissatisfied, not happy. Then he went into what they call the absolute. So then you compete with everybody.
Was this the same day?
Same day. Yep, right after, pretty much.
So as is part of the story, it's exhausting, right?
It's exhausting.
He's on to his second tournament in the same day.
Right. So then in the absolute portion, he ends up having 4 matches total. Okay. I think he was one of the few that didn't have a bye. Some of the other guys only had 3 matches. So he does his first match, does great, taps the guy, great. Does his second match, the guy's a little craftier. Can't remember. Pretty sure he won on points or something and went the distance. But, man, now all of a sudden he's exhausted. And he sweats a lot anyway, so he's drenched in sweat. He's exhausted. He's sitting there, and I'm like, wow, this is going to be hard. I don't know if he can win the next match. So now he's in the semis. Another really good guy. He pulls it together, somehow beats that guy. Now he's in the finals. But he's so freaking exhausted. He's sitting there in a chair, with his head down, drenched in sweat. Over. He looks like a snowman that's melting, like a really tall, lean snowman melting. And I'm like, holy cow, I don't know how we can do this. So then here comes the other guy, and the other guy somehow looks fresh as a daisy. I think he had 1 less match or something. He had more rest. And then we found out that the guy was actually really good. The guy won so many tournaments and so forth that my son said he was ranked 10 in the world as brown belt or something. So the guy was really good. And then the guy gets Tyler almost in a triangle, gets him in an arm bar. I don't know how he didn't break Tyler's arm. They go belly down. Somehow Tyler just won't tap, manages to get out of the thing.
So is it tense when you're watching someone with a deep arm bar?
Oh, it's awful, man. Yeah, it's like, holy shit. So then he gets out of that. The guy gets him in another arm bar. Same thing. I don't know how he's going to get out. He somehow gets out. Then there's some scramble, and they get to the feet, and the guy's got Tyler's foot and ankle all wrapped up like in a single leg, and the guy's standing, and the guy's not
Tyler's
tiny
hopping
either.
on one foot.
Hopping on one foot. I'm like, he's screwed now. He's going to give up a takedown. I'm yelling. So you're coaching. You're trying to yell some helpful coaching thing, and I'm thinking, as soon as you hit the ground, get back up again. As soon as you hit the ground, get back up. Instead, he somehow lunges at the guy while the guy has his foot and somehow taps the other guy's knee and takes the other guy down. So he goes from like, surely he's going to give up 2 points to scoring 2 points, like a 4-point swing. And then he ended up winning pretty handily. I think he passed the guy's guard and won a point somehow. And he's a world champion now. Brown belt, master 2, I think, world champion. So so happy for him.
Yeah,
so impressive.
Something about how he performs in these tournaments that if you could bottle it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, one of the things is I think if he's feeling fatigue, he does not hesitate or deter. He just keeps going.
That's what I was actually going to ask you. That's what I was thinking. Sort of, he ignores it almost like.
Yeah, he does.
And I think each of us, it's easy to say, but anyone could say that they're going to ignore it. But I think each of us reaches some point where you just mentally at some point you say, I'm so tired. And you're almost scared of how you're going to feel if you get more tired.
I think
so
you're right.
like, I have to back off now because I can't get that gassed. I'm already gassed. And like I can't.
There's almost a fear, I think you're right, that if you get so gassed, you're gone beyond the point of return and you're going to be helpless. But he doesn't worry about that. He just keeps going. and it's very impressive. So just so impressed with his performance and so happy for him. You know, he deserves it. He works hard all the time, and it's a real feather in his cap, a great thing to have on his resume. You know, that's what I said. You're going to be 2018 brown belt, whatever, absolute master 2 world champion forever. That's it. You got it. They can never take that away from him. So really amazing. Very cool.
And I think another part of it, I think because of a lot of jiu-jitsu, we have a lot of kind of calm rolls and a lot of easy taps, and it makes people tap a little sooner than they need to, and it makes people like, I've always said, like you said in here, like that I'm hard to choke, but I always wonder how much of it is that and how much of it is just people tap too fast. You know, they feel a choke come on, and it's like you weren't gonna,
I think they do,
you weren't going to go out.
Yeah, but I think that's reasonable if somebody, you know, has a life outside the dojo and they have a career and wife and children. So yeah, they probably should tap early.
They don't want to lose oxygen to the brain for too long.
Right. And they should, or risk injuring their shoulder or arm or leg or whatever. So they probably should focus more on not getting that deep in the position. But you're right. When somebody is a real competitor, then they want to learn all of it, like how to resist even in the worst. So,
but you're right about that. I think I've told you about that. I'm trying to tap to choke. Like once I got that horrible reputation as hard to choke, then I felt like I had to not tap.
You had to live up to your rep.
Yeah, and so I'd not tap to these horrendous chokes, and then I'd like get home and be like, "What's the number after 6?" And you know what I mean? I'd be like, I'd be like, "What's the name of the youngest child?" Like, you know what I mean? I'd sort of.
You'd be driving around your neighborhood trying to find your house.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd sort of got home, and like lately I've been like, I'll just tap. To your point, like, what's the difference for me?
Yeah.
But for the competitors, like we're saying, one thing Tyler has is just plowing through all that, like those arm bars. Yeah. Right? He's just like any one of us in practice would tap.
Right. But it's good to train. Like my son, I train a lot with him, and he's very, very good, and he will not tap until he has to. So it makes me better, much better at finishing everything. Yeah, definitely.
Right, because you have to really finish it.
Got to really finish him. I got to put him on the verge of unconsciousness from a choke, or he's not going to tap. And I got to really get his arms if I'm going to get him to tap. So he's making me better for sure all the time. So that was a great experience. And as a coach, it was rewarding too, you know, because I could watch him and help him. And, you know, he came into our gym completely as a white belt, and now he's world champion. You know, it's been a number of years, but it's very satisfying to see that. And I'm very happy for him. And I hope he continues to compete in grappling and jiu-jitsu because it's just great, you know. And, I got to coach him, and it was very rewarding to watch him and watch all his matches and everything and see him do that well. Yeah.
And for yourself, do you suspect there'll be another tournament some point
for me?
In the future? Yeah, I know you're not going to do it right
now. Probably. Yeah. Yeah. So I got to sit down here and do the Dan Robin New Year's Eve, look back and look forward and figure out what I'm going to do next year. Yeah. I'm looking forward. I'll probably compete again, and I'm probably going to do something else exciting, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I feel like at my age, like being the physical challenges, maybe they're not as interesting because, you know what I mean? It's maybe that's something you're supposed to be doing when you're in your 20s. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, no. I mean, you just came off a lot of satisfaction from doing a physical challenge. So
right.
So it definitely still works. But at the same time, yeah, I could see it being, you know, professional or personal
the wonderful thing about competing is it's pretty much all under your control what you do. As a coach, you're at a different level, you know what I mean? So, and then I don't like to be one of these coaches that takes too much credit, you know. So I'm watching Tyler, I like to give him 100% of the credit, even though I was, you know, I kind of want to pat myself on the back for my coaching, but I almost don't like it. You know, I like the coaches who let the athletes, especially in martial arts and MMA or jiu-jitsu, when they let the athletes shine, because it's not football where you have all these different schemes and everything, you know?
Right.
And it's hard, you know, it's hard to win in combat sports. So
So you like to be gracious.
I like to. I think we hit on the term for the day. Gracious. Yeah, I like to be gracious.
You say, thanks, Coach. You go, no, thank you. You made my day. So, yeah. I mean, and then the other thing is professional and personal challenges. They might fill that same gap too, right? I mean, in a different way.
What do you mean?
Like instead, if you don't go right to a tournament and you just set another goal, but it's like grow the business or, you know.
I think I want to test this 500 grand of happiness thing. Maybe I should take a run at that.
Yeah.
Test my happiness.
Yeah. See, make the 500 grand and see if you're happier.
Yeah.
Report back in.
We'll do an episode of that.
Yeah. I was supposed to report back in with my cold shower, and I never did.
Oh, did you do a cold shower?
I didn't do it. I forgot. I'll have to do it.
I did a lot of cold showers leading up to the tournament.
That's a good question. Do you do that anymore?
I was doing it, but
now after the tournament.
You know what? I ate terrible yesterday, and I felt terrible for eating terrible too. And then I stopped doing my meditation, my cold showers. I stopped all of it. So that is interesting. Like when you have an event coming up like that, it helps you do all the things that are good for you.
And now you're doing none of them.
None of them. But it's only for the last couple of days.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll get back on the wagon for sure. But I did. The other thing I probably should report is I felt much less anxiety before this tournament. You know, I think I told you when I competed back in 2000, I had days of anxiety, crippling. It felt awful. And then in September when I competed, pretty much the day before, I had awful anxiety, but otherwise not so bad. And at this tournament, not so much anxiety.
And then think of these guys who have 50 tournaments in the last couple of years, you know.
Yeah, you could probably get a handle of it by then, yeah, for sure.
The guys you win against.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
All right, Dan. So do you have anything to add?
No, I think that's pretty good.
I think we got to find some guests, or Dimitri will
next time we'll have a guest.
In. Yeah. But I
official.
Dan,
maybe we can rescind the protest.
I like our podcast. Every time I listen to our podcast, I enjoy it. I think it's good. No guest. It's all good.
So those listeners should give us those 5 stars.
They should give us.
Sometimes I think when you look and it's like however many 100 listeners, and then it's like 8 people have even hit the stars. I'm a little like, you couldn't just hit the star, like let alone I get like not writing a review.
Right.
This bad. I guess I shouldn't be calling out the
I think I'm going to call out people individually in the academy when I see them, when I'm training with them. Say, hey, you haven't reviewed the podcast, have you? Like right before we start training, before we slap hands. Yeah, we'll get our reviews, Dan. It's all it's all building.
Maybe that should be the goal.
I figured this is like, you know how the Beatles played in Germany for all those 10,000
hours? We're like the Beatles
hours?
in Germany, sleeping in the bunk beds?
We're the Beatles of Germany right now. Yeah. And then when we break out, we'll show Dimitri.
Yeah.
Yeah. He'll take all the credit then. He'll go, yeah, I was the one encouraging them way back
when they're interviewing him?
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Dan. Well, folks, thanks for listening again. As Dan said, please rate and review our podcast. Please share it on social media. Tell your friends about it. And we'll see you next week.